Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Soulibration. I am your host, Shameika Rhymes. And let me know where you're watching from and how you're doing this evening, how your week's been so far. I'm super excited because how often do you just go outside and walk, or even just inside your house, just walk, whether it's to relieve stress, blow off some anger, because I know I get to walking a lot. I'm a little country, y'all, so forgive me. But tonight we're taking a look at the simple yet powerful practice of walking and its multitude of benefits for stress reduction and overall well being. And we'll take a look at how walking can alleviate stress, improve your mood, and enhance physical weight. And it's got those benefits of weight loss too, so I hear. So we'll also introduce you to a new, it's not really a new program, but it's a program called Walk with a Doc. And it's an innovative initiative that combines healthcare professionals with walking. So we'll get into all of that so that you can get out there, lace up your sneakers, and start walking. But tonight's guest, I'm super excited about. We have Dr. Delapo Babalola. I probably pronounced that wrong, but forgive me. She's going to talk about the incredible benefits of walking and share more about the Walk with a Doc program. I'm super excited. Let me give you a little bit of her background. Dr. Babs is a triple board certified family obesity and lifestyle medicine physician, an adjunct clinical professor at Morehouse School of Medicine, and the founding CEO of Living at Your Finest Wellness, which you can tell us all about that in just a moment, but I'm super excited. And of course, Dr. Babs is the physician walk leader for the Marietta Walk with a Doc community event. Welcome. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you. And that was perfect. You did
Okay.
not mispronounce. That was on point. So thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored and I'm really excited. I can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Yeah. And I want to remind everyone to share this link with, your network, your friends, family, so they can get in on the benefits of walking too. And of course, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat and we'll get to them throughout the show. So let's get into it. We are dressed in our green.
Love it.
I love it. Let's see. Can you explain why walking is often recommended as a simple yet effective form of exercise for overall health?
Oh, yes. Walking. They usually say if there is one pill that you can take that will take care of almost everything in our health, it's really walking
Mhm.
because it's just multifaceted. It takes care of all chronic diseases, acute issues, mental health. You alluded to some with, stress. It's just a multifaceted activity. It helps both sides of the brain. So it's called a cross lateral movement. So both
Ah,
hemisphere of the brain, you're making movement. And it's so simple that people underestimate the benefits of walking. So there are numerous studies that have shown that not only does it help with mental health because of the decrease of cortisol level and boosting of feel good hormones, it also helps to weight management, right? So it helps to support our bones, our joints, and just doing it over a period of time suddenly is preventative, keep you from having memory issues. There are
mhm.
just so many benefits. As a matter of fact, on the walk with the dog, which we're going to talk about, there are about 100 benefits that are there. But these are evidence-based. It clearly shows that 50% of people that engage in walking actually prevent chronic diseases. So lifestyle diseases that we talk about, diabetes, hypertension, anything that is lifestyle related. So numerous benefits. We all need to walk, no matter how little it is. It does make a significant difference.
And it's free. That's my
It is
favorite part.
free. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you kind of mentioned some of those significant health benefits. Are there any others of that 100 you mentioned? Are there any others?
Yes, yes. So let me highlight a few. It helps prevent about 13 different types of cancer. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
breast cancer, lung cancer, esophageal cancer, and mental health, about 48% deduction in anxiety as well
Mhm.
as depression. I know that when I had blood pressure problems a few years back, I had blood pressures as high as 220 over 120. And
Mm.
really all I did was just walk. I just went out, just put everything aside. There was a lot of, stresses in my life at the time. And I just walked. I walked for 10 minutes, sometimes 20 if time would allow me. And so it improved my mental health. Other
Right.
things, arthritis, especially as we age, unfortunately, we lose muscle, you know,
Mhm.
bones wear and tear. So it's been shown to be the number one treatment for arthritis because what it's doing is that you're, weight bearing, you're walking, and it
Mhm.
helps support the bones. So that, of course, it decreases the thinning of the bone by walking. Alzheimer's is a big one, which we've probably heard a lot about. Even young
Yeah.
people are getting it now, where memory, they're like, I can't remember anything. What
Mhm.
50% reduction risk in Alzheimer's. So there are numerous, but those are the ones that I want to highlight. And most importantly for me, when I started walking those many years ago, I was able to de-prescribe, get off the medications that I was on.
Mhm.
Um, Lost weight as a benefit. That was not the goal, but I wanted to de-stress.
Yeah.
But I was able to get off blood pressure medicine. I was able to reverse chronic diseases. So there are numerous benefits. And to even think of just the freeness that you said, it's free, right?
Yeah.
You walk outdoors, the beauty of being outdoors and walking with a partner, maybe with your community, there's numerous benefits that one
Mhm.
cannot even begin to count them all, but it is very, very essential for our health and well-being.
For those that are like me with issues with their knees, would it help with that? Like, because, like you mentioned, arthritis, or if there is, say, um, I'm trying to think, if there's some kind of knee injury or joint pain, or maybe some swelling, or anything that could happen with your knees, would walking be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So walking, as I alluded to, is the number one treatment for arthritis. Why is
Mhm.
that? Because it's a low resistance exercise. So it's not like you're pounding, right? You're
Yeah,
running. People want to run, and maybe they've been runners before, but then all of a sudden, as they get older, there's the wear and tear. But just walking, it's a low resistance, right? And
yeah.
and, and you're doing, of course, you certainly have to stretch before and after, but
Mhm.
whatever pace, as long as you're taking those steps, there's been studies that show if you just walk for 5 minutes, that is about 500 steps. And by the time you walk for 10 minutes, that's about 100 steps. And as you accumulate, you're strengthening the bones, you're strengthening the ligaments, the tendons. So saying that, oh, yeah, I don't want to walk, my knees are bothering me, you're just going to make them more stiff. And the more stiff, they say, if you don't use it, what happens? You lose
Lose
it.
it,
So,
yes.
yeah, certainly walking is one of the low resistant exercises that significantly helps people with arthritis. I know that in my family, part of being the physician lead in Marietta, we have a lot of older patients. They join us. They come, they walk at their pace, and they feel better. They feel stronger. The mood is boosted, but of course, their joints feel a whole lot better. So definitely, it's one. Of course, you don't have to increase your pace. You gradually, advance as
Mhm.
tolerated, but it's certainly one to look into. Compared to cycling or other things that people do,
Yeah.
you definitely want to start with walking to strengthen those bones.
Okay. Well, I guess I want to touch on something that you just mentioned before I hop to explain what the program is. But you
Yes.
mentioned stretching, and I think that's a key thing because a lot of times, I know for myself, if I'm frustrated with work and I'm like, I gotta walk outside. I don't even think about stretching. It's like, let me walk this off before I say something, and then take a break, come back, and then there's no stretching to be had. So, and I'm sure, can many of y'all relate?
Yes, I can relate. And that's real life. Absolutely.
But when you do say stretching, can you just like explain why that's important to stretch before and after?
Yes. Well, so stretching, there are two types of stretching. We have the first form of stretching, which is called dynamic, just before you do any form of movement or extraneous activity, as if you might call it, if you're going for an extensive walk. Now, if it's extensive walk, if you're
Mhm.
just trying to blow off heat,
Right.
that's okay. But if you're going for something more extensive, right, you want to
Yeah.
stretch called dynamic because you want to warm up those muscles, especially if you've been sitting down for so long. Right.
Right.
Some of us are guilty, which, by the way, I should emphasize that sitting is now considered the new smoking. There was a research that came out. So if you're sitting down longer than an hour, 2 hours without getting up, you are actually at risk just equivalent to people that smoke because
Wow.
your blood is stagnant. Your muscle, which is a metabolic organ, is just all the things happening when you actually walk. You're
Mhm.
boosting the feel good hormones and protein in your brain that actually helps develop new neurons. So back to why we need to stretch, so that when you do the dynamic movement, you're warming up those muscles, right? You're warming them up. It decreases the risk of injury. And then you take that walk. Now, when you're done walking, which I have been very guilty of, you're done walking. I'm like, okay, done, movement done. I just go about my day. You want to stretch what we call static. So static stretching, that means you maintain that pose instead of dynamic where you're moving continuously to warm up the muscle, warm up the muscle. But when you do static, so for instance, if you were doing like this, but
Mhm.
static will be like this. Because again, remember I said that walking is a cross lateral movement. So
Yeah.
every part of your body is moving. So when you do static, you do this because then you want to flush out any toxin. You want to make
Mhm.
sure that your body is relaxed and it's gone back to normal, because every form of movement, you've stretched that muscle. So that's why you do both dynamic and static stretching. It decreases the risk of injury and soreness. That's so important.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever gone for a walk or done any activity and you don't stretch and then you feel really sore the next day.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to avoid by doing those two different types of stretching. Now, again, if it's something simple, you're just going out, it's not a big deal. But if you know that you're going to be moving for a while, it's best that you stretch.
Okay. Thank you for that, because I think sometimes we do forget that we
Mhm.
do need to stretch before and after. And I want to remind everybody, if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. But I want to go ahead and have you explain what the Walk with the Doc program is, because I know we're talking about it. And so they're probably like, what is that?
Yes, yes, yes. So, Walk with a Dog is a global, international nonprofit organization that was started by popular cardiologist Dr. Siegel. He is a wonderful cardiologist who thought about this with his patients. So he stent, doing a lot of stent and restent. Patients that he had heart attacks would come back again, do the same surgery repeatedly. It's like, what's going on here? Well, how about let's just walk the talk, right? A lot of times your doctors tell you exercise, eat well, but what does that really look like? So he put it to action. And so he invited his patients to join him on a walk. And this was in 2005. And they enjoyed it. It was like, wow, this is fantastic. You get to walk with your doctor in the
Yeah.
park. And so that's where it became a movement. And so now it's global, is in I mean, international, as I mentioned, in the United States and different states. If there's a physician and they come up with a group, they partner with Walk with a Dog and they start their own group. So that's what it's called, Walk with a Dog. The whole idea is building healthy communities, right? So that they can have healthy communication as well as healthy movement. So that's what Walk with a Dog is.
Okay. Now, how can people find out if it's in their community? Because I know I looked it up and it is in my community. I
Oh,
was actually
awesome.
excited to see that it is here, but for
Yeah.
other places, how would they find out?
Yeah, so the website, that's the best place to check. And the website is so robust and very user friendly. You would just go to walkwithadoc.org. And when I say doc, I want to emphasize that it's DOC, because sometimes people think
Oh, yeah.
DOG, even with the shirt, sometimes it might look like a dog. And dogs are welcome and pets are welcome,
Okay.
but it's doc, DOC. So if you go to walkwithadoc.org, you can
Mhm.
just type in your location. You can find out if you have one. You maybe partner with another or even start one in your location. It's
Mhm.
very user friendly and the team is fantastic. They will walk you through, because the whole idea is just getting us all healthy. I don't know if you're aware that the sedentary rate at the moment is increasing. It's 70%. A lot of us are just not moving enough.
Mm.
And walking is free and simple. And how about invite your friend to walk with you? The more,
Mhm.
the more the merrier. And with the Walk with a Dog, the way it's set up is if you can at least commit to once a month. Some people do it more than once. In my
Mhm.
chapter, we walk the second Saturday of every month, 9 to 10. And part of the first 30 minutes, we engage, talking about a health related topic, very brief, but, different topics. We invite guests. So it's all about community building. And then
Mhm.
we walk for 30 minutes. So that's usually the format, but it's a lot of engagement and just fun topics so that we can just live healthier together.
Oh, I love that. So I know you mentioned it a little bit, but I wanted to go back because that's the biggest thing
Okay.
people are always wanting to talk about is the weight loss aspect of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So how much walking would one have to do to see some weight loss?
Ooh, I love that question.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. How much walking would you need to do to see the weight loss? Okay, so let me speak personally. So when I had my health struggle, and I've always loved moving, exercising, but I didn't realize at the time, I just had my second child. I thought there was no time to go to the gym and spend 1 hour. So my mindset was nothing, all or nothing, that mentality. So yeah, I don't have an hour. I'm sorry, I have a newborn. It's not going to happen. So it didn't occur to me that just walking, simple walking was enough, really.
Mhm.
And the stress, becoming an emotional eater rather, and gained weight. What I needed was to get to the root cause of my problem, and the root cause
Mhm.
was the stress, right? So I had an outlet, which was walking. When we walk, as do, you decrease your stress levels, you boost your endorphins, and all of that helps you. So for me, that helped me as an outlet, so I wasn't stress eating any longer, right? So that
Uh-huh.
decreased my calories.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, there are two sides to it. You have the non-weight victories, which was sound health,
Mhm.
mental stability, all
Yeah.
of that occurred. And I had my outlet. I was able to sleep better because if we're not sleeping well, unfortunately, we are going to eat more foods that we shouldn't be eating, unhealthy foods, processed foods, all those things. So it's a vicious cycle.
It
So
is.
when your mental health is stable with the movements, walking, I slept better.
Mhm.
And gradually, when all those things come to place, then you lose weight as a side effect of that. Now, in terms of how much walking do you have to do, I mean, the recommendation right now in terms of physical activity is 30 minutes 5 days a week at minimum, right?
Mhm.
That's where we are in terms of movement. Certainly there is a part of strength training that we do need to incorporate, but
Mhm.
for movement, that's the recommendation. And in terms of steps, I don't know if you've heard of how many steps. You hear the 10,000
Yes.
steps a day. Sometimes some people don't have time for that. So I just say, if you can do 5 minutes, which is 500 steps, right?
Mhm.
And if you do 4 sets of that 5 minutes, that takes you to 2,000 steps, which is about 1 mile. So
Mhm.
doing that consistently, it's in the consistently. It's not like maybe you do it for 2 weeks and then I've had people, and I've been guilty of that. I will walk 5 miles and I won't do it again for 2 months because I went all day. So it's I know. So it's baby steps. But in terms of the steps, that's usually how they say. So if you're active anywhere from 5,000 to about 7,500 steps, then you begin to drop the weight. You have both the non-skill benefits, the sleeping
Mhm.
well, feeling good, confidence, self-esteem, and then it shifts into what people see, right, in terms of the
Right.
weight loss. So somewhere around there is where I would say if you make it consistent. But if you're just not moving enough, anything less
Mhm.
than 5,000, you're considered sedentary, where you're not moving.
Gotcha.
Another caveat I want to mention is that this is intentional movement, but all the what we call NEAT, NEAT, that is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. All that
Mhm.
means is just getting up and moving, washing, going grocery, shopping, gardening. All of those movements add to your
Mhm.
steps, and you lose weight. So it's definitely a process, but consistency is what matters.
So with that, because I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I know what my goal is on my Fitbit, and maybe 3 times out of the week I hit that.
Yeah.
Maybe. But so like you said, so like if I'm just walking up and down the stairs, because brain fog, I'm like, what did I come up here for? Go back down. Let me come back up, back and forth all day. would that counts as like being up and moving
Absolutely.
around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was set. That falls on the knit, right? So the
Okay.
non-exercise activity. But when you're moving, when you're intentionally saying, I'm going to move continuously to raise my heart rate, because what you're doing is that you're taking a break and then you do it again.
Yeah.
But if you're exercising, which some people don't like the word exercise, I like to call it movement. If
Okay.
you're intentionally moving for about 30 minutes, that is what we call the exercise, the more intentional, but they all add up to
Hmm.
burn calories, right? To make your bones stronger, to give you stronger muscle. So it certainly adds up. And I know I lost, as a matter of fact, that year I lost almost 40 pounds. And a lot of my patients, we have a prescription called exercise prescription. Walk with a Dog has it. I'm boarded in lifestyle medicine. We have it. So that's a prescription. Hey, go walking 10 minutes. What can you do? Meet yourself where you're at. If you can't put in 30 minutes, usually the 10,000 steps, it's really an equivalent to about 5 miles. Some people might not meet that, but all the movements add up together. So you will definitely see the weight come off, but
Hmm.
you will first of all experience the non-weight victories first.
Well, I'm curious for those watching. Drop in the comments how many steps you're getting a day. I did see a comment that said that they walk 6,000 steps and they have not been able to lose weight at all. So
Ah, well, so it's a multifactorial thing. They might not lose weight, but I'm curious if they found so any other benefits. You might not. Again, it's they some as much as exercise is a fantastic form of movement, we
mhm,
cannot outrun a diet that is not healthy.
mhm,
Right. So if you take all that, you do all that movement, but yeah, you're not sleeping well, you're still eating the same stuff, then that will negate the benefits,
mhm,
right? It's the same thing research have shown that people that go hard and work out for an hour, but then they sit down the rest of the day, that also
mhm.
negates it. So we're people of we just need to move. We're created to move. So for that person, I'll say just check and do an inventory. What are you eating? What else
Mhm,
is going on? Because it's a whole pillar. So the pillars are your nutrition. Are you eating whole foods? Are you cutting back on processed foods? The physical activity, which is the walk with a dog that we're talking, or just movement. Sleep is key. Stress management, alcohol and all the substances. And then the last one is social connection. So that's why Walk with a Dog combines two, the social connection and the physical activity. So that's what I would say, that you should just do an inventory of what else is going on in your habits, behaviors, and habits.
Now, I will say when I was being consistent, walking with a friend, we'd walk and talk, and then a whole hour had gone by. I wasn't trying to lose weight, but I started to notice that while the scale didn't change, the inches were changing.
Nice. Very good. Yeah.
So, is
Mhm.
that like, could that be some way for some people to look at it instead
Yeah.
of, 'cause sometimes that scale just, I swear, I think the scale is the devil, but that's me.
I'm with you. I'm with you with that. I have a love-hate relationship with the scale, but you see, the truth of the matter is, as an obesity medicine trained physician, the scale doesn't tell you anything. It just
Yeah.
tells you a number. So nobody should look at the scale and use that to determine their progress. Really, you don't. Because for me, in my practice, we have an in-body scan. An in-body scan really just gives you the total body composition. So to your point, you lose inches, but maybe you increase the muscle mass.
Yeah.
And that is okay, because with time, if you're consistent, that muscle mass you gained is going to burn that fat and you're going to lose inches, right? So you will
Mhm.
see that first before you ever see the scale. But a lot of times, because we have the mentality of the scale, we get discouraged and we stop what we're doing. And I've been
Mhm.
there before. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, this is not working. I'm not even going to try anymore. But if you stayed with it, you would see the benefits. So the body composition actually gives you a more comprehensive picture of how you're doing. So definitely inches first, and the other aspects of how you feel before the scale itself.
Okay. Guys, don't forget if you have questions, drop them in the chat. Let's see here. So I went all the way away from my questions that I had written out.
I like that question though.
But
I'm glad they asked. Thank you for asking that question, because it is
yeah,
a commonly asked question.
so for somebody that is new to walking, say they are used to just kind of, they're out there because a lot of us do work from home still. If they're just at home sitting all day, then they've got other things they may be doing. Some people are in school or they're having to help with homework with their kids or whatever it is. And so they're stuck sitting all day, but they want to start walking. What can they
Yeah.
do? It sounds simple to just lace
Yeah.
up your sneakers and go outside. What else could they do?
Yes, yes. I know it's simple but not easy. How do something like that, you heard they
Right.
say it's so simple, just do it. But it's about being intentional about it and finding opportunities, right, in different pockets of the day. So
Mhm.
that's why you hear if you go out to shop, park far away from
Yeah.
the parking lot, take the stairs instead of the elevator. All of that adds up. But to the question about people that work from home,
Mhm.
really, if we don't make it intentional in our schedule, it's not going to happen. That's just the
Mhm.
truth. It's not going to happen. So
Right.
number one, you have to know your why are you doing it? Do you truly believe that it's going to benefit you? Do you want more energy? Are you trying to lose weight? Do you
Mhm.
want stronger bones? You want to decrease your medication, chronic diseases? So your why is the first thing that will motivate you to doing it. And then the next thing is create a SMART goal. And SMART goal is SMART. SMART is very specific. So how specific do you want to be? So for me, I say every hour, the last 5 minutes, I'm going to get up. I'm going to do something. So and I do what I call habits stacking. So when I
Mhm.
go to the restroom, use the restroom because I'm drinking water to stay hydrated, I'm
Yeah.
going to move. I'm going to take a lap. Some
Right.
people is like if you watch TV during the commercials, take a lap, so being intentional, already having your mind when you're going to fill it in. If you
Mhm.
don't plan for it, they say failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So
Mhm.
just create that plan and you can pivot, you can change it up, but just create those little pockets where you can move. And I promise you, the consistency, when you begin to feel good, you begin to look great, you
Yeah.
will do it more and more. So don't be all or nothing. Don't say, I'm going to do 2 hours every Saturday when you know that's not going to work. So just
Right.
start somewhere and advance slowly. So that's what I would encourage. Just find little pockets of when you can incorporate your movement and do it with the family because it's fun. Get family members that have similar
Mhm.
goals and get out there and certainly find a walk with a dog organization that encourages to go out and encourages to go out and walk with people. So those are some tips that I would share that you can make it possible. Just get up and you know set your alarm and get it done.
I did see a question about what type of walking provides better results, if it's the speed or where you're walking, like flat terrain or hills. Like, does it matter or is it kind of the same? You're going to get the same
Yeah.
benefits.
Right. Yeah. So it's the same. I mean, I've seen on social media where a mile is a mile, whether you ran the mile.
Yeah.
It's yeah, they say the best exercise is the one that you do consistently. So, I could tell
Mhm.
you to do Zumba, but you don't like Zumba. So, are you going to do it? No. So, it's the same. Again, you have to be mindful of where you are. If you have knees that are not, hurting, don't go and start doing speed walking. Just moving. It's the steps that count, right? So, just moving, that's where the benefit is. It's
Mhm.
because every time you get up and you move, you're actually increasing circulation to your muscle. Your muscle is a metabolic organ, so it
Mhm.
contracts, and as it contracts, it releases the protein, which I said is good for neurons build up, and it also helps to burn the calories. It helps with insulin resistance. A lot of people, unfortunately, in our community,
Mhm.
have diabetes and insulin resistance. Guess what is the best thing for insulin resistance? Walking.
Yeah.
Because when I remember I had a professor when I was at Morehouse, he had diabetes. And all he did when his sugars were high, he would say he just went on a walk. And
Oh.
that was it. Sometimes he would need to pick up something to eat because his glucose had come down. His
Mhm.
numbers were so it's such I mean, just walking your muscle, it helps to use that glucose that is in your bloodstream, and that is a
Mhm.
remedy for high sugar. So certainly, moving will help with insulin resistance, will help with inflammation. Our women, menopausal age, that helps. So there's so many benefits to walking. So I'll say just moving. If you're somebody that is comfortable running and you want to, go up a notch, you can. But I would encourage you to make sure you wear proper shoe wear,
Mhm.
right? Just make sure you wear, it's not so much as the pace walking or whatever, it's just proper shoe wear, proper posture, right? Because you don't want to start having back pain. So
Yeah.
upright. So all of that, and stay hydrated.
Mhm. I'm glad you brought that up because I did see a couple comments about the menopause, and I was curious too about like perimenopause, menopause, because you know that during that time you tend to gain additional weight in the belly area, and you're like, where'd this come from? And then it's hard to get it
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
So you mentioned that walking would help, but is there something else? Maybe weights while walking, would that help?
Yeah, some people like to elevate their walking.
Mhm.
I totally advocate for elevating your walking if you want to boost it up a notch. So some people do elevation walking. So for me, I mean, some people like to walk indoor. I just like outdoors because the fresh air, the vitamin D. Certainly, vitamin D, just a side note, that would help with your immune system, will help with just so many things, your mood, right? So I prefer outdoors, but if you're doing it indoors, the important thing is if you're trying to elevate your walking, some people walk with weights just to put some additional resistance into
Mhm.
their walking. And the reason why I find that people do weights while they're walking is because strength training is also important. As we age, we lose at least every 10 years after you turn 30, you lose about 8% of your muscle. And so that's why people incorporate that. Some people even have ankle weights, right? I've seen
Yeah.
that. I have not tried any of those, I guess maybe because I have periods where I do strength training. So I don't combine it.
Okay.
But some people do, and that's okay. But it definitely helps with that, what we call the perimenopausal belly. It
Mhm.
helps with that, just walking. It's cross. You're moving. You're all
Right.
part of your body is moving, burning calories. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, there's a woman in my neighborhood. I'll see her walking around and she's always raising her arms. And I thought, is she exercising? I mean, she just said she was she was listening to gospel music, praising while she was walking. But I was like, but you're getting them arms up, walking.
Love it.
And just to see the difference over the past year, every time I've seen her, she's lost weight. She has. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's consistent. So you're right.
yeah,
It
being
is about
consistent.
consistency.
Yeah, and other things that you can do. I love when I'm in my music. Oh my goodness, I will dance, walk. I will do all sorts of things. But you can walk in an incline. You can do lunges while you walk. You can do squat walk. I have a video where I share that the things that you can do to enhance your walking. So many things. Some people walk backwards because they're using a different type of their muscle.
Oh,
Yeah, there's one of the physician walk groups in Roswell where in Marietta where I live, and he walks backwards at least for the first 5-10 minutes, and then he
mhm.
walks forward. He's activating a different type of his muscle. So again, it's as you want to spice it up. There's so many things that you can do, but safety is always first. That's why I'll say start safe and
Mhm.
gradually. So slowly and steady.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone, if you have questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. So you mentioned walking indoors, and I was about to actually ask about those workouts that are maybe on YouTube or whatever exercise app. Do you recommend those if someone say, or if it's like rainy and cold out or too hot? Because I know I don't like to be outside sweating. So,
Yes, those are great ways. They have different channels like Walk at Home. I know Walk with a Dog during the pandemic. I don't believe I was a member at the time, but during the pandemic, they had everybody took it indoors. They took it indoors, and you just create the space for yourself. There was actually a lady. She was in a one-bedroom apartment, so no excuses. She lost almost 50 pounds just walking. So she would walk
what?
side to side, forward. Yeah, in a one bedroom. So she didn't even have a lot of space, but that's what she did. Mental health, that was her goal, but she lost
Mhm.
weight. So, yes, there are tons of videos, there are different things that you can do. But the whole idea is just the movement, just keep the pace going. Some people, in the yard, just make sure that you're moving. That's the important thing.
Okay. Wow, I had no like idea just doing it at your house. I mean, I don't do it consistently. I will admit that. Now I'm going to because I'm like, ooh, I need to sleep better. So I need to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see. So for those that decide, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get out and walk, and then they lose that motivation. How do they get it back? Because that's me.
Ooh, how do we get it back when you fall off the wagon? Yeah, that wagon. You imagine. Oh, he's like, that wagon is going. You're trying to get back on it, and it's gone,
Mhm.
gone, gone. Ah, yeah, that happens. Life happens, right? So how do you get back on it? It again is just going back to your why, really. Going back to your why. For me, I get back and I've fallen off my wagon so many times. As much as I love walking and exercise, but if I have a busy period in my life, sometimes I don't do it as much as I would love to. What
Mhm.
gets me back on track is if I challenge myself. So I love a good challenge. If I hear, oh, there's a race for something, or I get my girlfriends doing something, or I learn, something group wise, because it's a added benefit. You get to meet new people, social
Mhm.
connections. We're social beings. So I will say, find if it's really difficult on yourself, because I mean, we need each other. We're social beings. So if you can find settling in an organization, walk with a dog, or maybe, a YMCA or your church group, maybe start it or join people doing it. That will always get you, because you will not, you wouldn't disappoint another person. You would disappoint yourself first and every
Mhm.
time before you would
Mhm.
disappoint another person. So I'll
Mhm.
say that is a great way to get back on it, and tell yourself you can do anything for 1 to 3 minutes. So
Right.
that's what I always tell myself. Get back on it. Don't look at 30 minutes. Just start, lace up your shoes, get somebody. And if you can't get someone, just go for 1 minute so that you can just check the box. You did it. But guess what? Who walks for 1 minute? You're going to go longer. So that's
Right.
another thing. And then you have to set yourself up for success. So if you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start walking, I
Mhm.
want you to plan for it. So how do you do that? Get your shoes ready. Some people sleep in their exercise clothes, whatever it is. Do
I'm not
whatever
there
you
yet.
need to do. Do whatever you have to do. Put your Snickers, put everything by the door, by your
Mhm.
bed, so you can, beat all the excuses, all the barriers. And music is a great motivator. I
Mhm.
know, I have my music already playing before I don't wait till I'm out there to play my music.
Ooh.
I start my
Mhm.
music before, and I
Mhm.
tell you, every time I do that, I'm excited about it. I'm in the mood to do it, right? Because you
Mhm.
you naturally boost endorphins and your feel good hormones. So I would say start there. Definitely find a partner. Get started, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, get started and prepare yourself for success, and find a backup. So let's say the weather, it's
Mhm.
rainy. We will all very quickly say, oh, well, sorry, I'm not walking today. It's raining. No, what is your backup? Your backup is your video. Go ahead
Right.
and do it, and then just follow that same rule. But most importantly, give yourself grace, though. Okay.
Mhm.
So no judgment, give yourself grace. And because when we give ourselves grace and overwhelm, I mean, when we're stressed and we're overwhelmed, then we wouldn't even want to do anything anymore. So give yourself grace and just keep pushing.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It just made me think about the times that I do go out and walk when it's not for anger reasons. It's usually I'm on the phone and I'm like, I might as well go out and walk while I'm talking on the phone. And then, I'll look up later and it's like, oh, I've been walking for 30 minutes, just yapping.
Yeah, yes, yes. That's why they say meeting, the walk
Yeah.
meetings are really great. I really wish that we could do more of that, because sometimes, people are looking at you weird. What's going on? What are you doing standing or walking? But it's really important. I really hope that we can make it a norm where people just go out for walk meetings, right?
Mhm.
Because we're moving, we're adding those movements. I have a few colleagues in the lifestyle medicine organization. Whenever they're doing Zoom, they're walking, they're on treadmills. A lot
Yep.
of people have, and I'm planning to buy one. I missed it for the Prime, the Prime. I wanted to get it, but I don't know how that skipped. I actually bought something else and I forgot that I wanted to get, like, one of those walking. So anyway, I'm going to have to look for the next sales, but I need to get one of those because, I do walk up and down at the practice, but the periods where I'm sitting, I could
Hmm.
actually just be moving, trying to keep up
Yeah,
with those. And time goes fast, like you said.
it
You're
does.
talking and you don't even know. And what
Mhm.
have you done? You've added more steps. So definitely all those things add up. So walking is great. It's a miracle pill that we all need to partake in
Yeah.
daily. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up about having meetings. I mean, I know my managers probably have been sick of listening to me cleaning in the background while we're having a one-on-one because I'm like, I'm gonna mop, sweep, clean the tub,
Nice.
do everything while so I can just be moving and not sitting the
Lovely.
entire time.
Yes.
So
Very
yeah,
good.
there's a lot of ways to sneak in
Oh
some
yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If anybody has any more questions, drop it in the chat. We got like about 5 more minutes. Um, let's see here. For those that have like these a chronic condition, maybe it's something where they really can't walk far.
Mhm.
Maybe they've gotten some kind of neuropathy, or I don't even know. It's something along those lines. What can they do when it comes to reaping the benefits of walking?
Yeah. So yeah, I know neuropathy will definitely be one that could serve as a barrier, right? So neuropathy is
Yeah.
when you have like a nerve damage for
Mhm.
whatever reason, whether it's through diabetes,
Mhm.
or some injury. That suddenly could be a hindering factor. So again, understanding that you start slow and gradually, so you
Mhm.
might have to reduce how much walking you do. You
Yeah.
might need to do more stretching, things like that, or get to the root cause of the issue, so correct that, and
Mhm.
then you're able, like, I know I have a lot of patients that have flat feet, right? So every time, so they're flat, no arch. So
Mhm.
usually when they're hitting the pavement, it's like the pressure all the way. And every time we're overweight, unfortunately, we're putting about 8 pounds against our knees and our foot. So it's a lot of weight that you're pounding. So what do I recommend for people like that? Definitely get an arch, something that will support and be like a shock absorber, so that
Mhm.
you're not just hitting the ground, right?
Mhm.
So that will be one. People that have neuropathy, stretching helps a whole lot.
Mhm.
The things like plantar fasciitis, people where plantar fasciitis is the tendon at the bottom of the feet is so tense that when you put your feet down,
Oh.
it's the very first movement. It's so painful, and it gets better as you walk. So people like that would have to stretch and do exercises before they hit go walking. So there's
Mhm.
so many things. You definitely want to talk to your physician, your doctor, your provider, to figure out what is unique for you and what modifications can be done. But I know for sure that not doing anything is not an option, because it's only
Right.
going to get worse. So
Yeah.
you definitely need to, um, you know,
Mhm.
put your body in a state of true health. And that's what true health is just
Yeah.
creating a condition in your body where your symptoms and disease do not strive anymore. So it's not active. So that's pretty much some things that I would recommend. But you definitely want to talk to your doctor, because there might be more recommendations that are unique to your situation.
Okay. And how long would it take to see the benefits of walking, like when it comes to reducing stress? Because, I know, like I've said, I've gone out and to just kind of calm down just from walking. Maybe I'll walk to the end of the street and back. And then it's like I've calmed down a little bit. But like for overall, like if you're dealing with chronic stress and you're overwhelmed,
Mhm.
when,
It's right away. I mean, it's immediate. It's immediate because of what your body is going through. It's a walking or just being outdoors, a natural mood enhancer. That's
Mhm.
just period, right? It
Okay.
elevates your mood, it reduces your stress. And so making it a consistent thing that you
Mhm.
do in addition, it's just really immediate, because each time you're doing it, your body is doing something. It's not waiting um, many weeks down the line for it to be
Right.
effective. It's right
Okay.
away, right? It's an
Okay.
immediate thing. Like now, if a lion came in here, we're all going to scoop and run. That's the cortisol working right away, and the
Yeah.
adrenaline. So it's immediate. Same thing when we're walking. The muscle is moving, the neurotransmitters are released, you get
Mhm.
the benefit. So doing it continuously really helps us to have a balanced state of mind. So it's immediate. And doing it consistently, you would see the overall benefit. So that's a great question. It's
Okay.
just getting it done, no matter how little. And days might vary. Some days you might do 10, another day you could do 20, but
Mhm.
just really getting it done.
Okay. I did see a question about, hold on, let me see what it says. Do you have any suggested brands for walking shoes?
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on your feet, right? So I
Mhm.
know the Peachtree footwear, they usually measure because you always want to measure just to make sure because
Mhm.
everybody's feet is different, right?
Yeah.
So brands, I mean, Balance, they're all the different types. So I don't have a specific one. I would just say like go to any of those like Foot Solutions is good. I mean, they will measure and make sure you don't have an arch, give you the one that will, if it has to stabilize your ankle, there's a lot of things that
Mhm.
come into it. So I would say if you, especially if you have problems with your feet, make sure that you get that looked at and don't just go off the store and just buy one because it looks good. Yeah. So
Yeah, 'cause when that happens, you end up with blisters, but don't ask me how I know that. Buying stuff because it's cute.
yeah, because it's cute and it might not support you. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's see here. We've got, yeah, I see a lot of people in the comments mentioning girltrek.org is another walking
Yes. Yeah.
um, organization. So yes, Walk with the Doc, Girl Trek.
Yeah.
There's so many out there. Just find the one that's best for you and what's in your community. Let's see here. I think we are about out of time, but
Yeah.
for
I
my
want to mention something if I could. So Walk with a Doc has now partnered with Grouper. I don't know if you're familiar with Grouper. So
oh no.
Grouper is an organization that caters to our older patient population. So they foster longevity, movement, and all of that. And the great news is that Grouper is now partnering Walk with a Doc to provide incentives for our older patients. So what does that look like? You walk, you participate in a Walk with a Doc event, you get
Mhm.
$50 for your first walk, and every time you walk you get about $20. That now these are patients you have to be eligible for it, whether you're Medicare or Medicare Advantage. So Grouper, you just go to grouper.com and see if you're eligible. So patients that are 60, community members that are 65 or older, you get a double incentive, you get paid to walk. So
I love that. That's awesome. So, can you just remind people once again where they can learn more about the Walk with the Doc program?
yeah, so Walk with a Dog, it's online. You can find them on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Walk with a Dog, WALK, with WITH, dog, DOC.org. And there you find out about the different locations. And if there isn't one in your area, yeah, go ahead and reach out to the team and then they will help you figure out one. But they have a YouTube channel that you can do some of the walks if you were doing it online.
Okay, is it just Walk with the Doc on YouTube?
Yes,
Okay.
same name. Mhm.
Okay. Well, I ask this of all my guests. What feeds your soul?
Ooh, what feeds my soul? Yeah, what feeds my soul is just being holistic. Oh, it's so important that we are holistic. So
Mhm.
whole person approach, right? It's not just the physical body, which we're talking about, but it's also mental stability. It's also our soul. So all of that is what feeds me, and just making sure that we're living our best life. So that's why my practice is called living at your finest. So finest well-being, where you're whole, you're healthy, and you're vibrant.
Oh, I love that. Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Babs, for coming on Soulibration and sharing this amazing information with us. Everybody, make sure you check out walkwithadoc.org. And for more information on ways to reduce stress and more about the benefits of walking, head over to blackdoctor.org. There's tons of articles over there. And as for me, I will see you guys next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for a Soulibration, where we'll be taking a look at how to prevent burnout and what to do if you have already reached that point and are overwhelmed and don't know what to do to how to fix it. So let me know also if there are topics that you want to hear about so we can get some of these topics and schedule some guests to come on here and talk about it. So have a soul-filled rest of the week. Thank you again, Dr. Babs.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, everyone.